Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody? Shut this drawer back here. Good morning. How is everyone? It is so good to see everybody here for a Monday morning, starting a new week. Lots of stuff has got to get done this week. I didn't get as much stuff done over this weekend as I would have liked to. I was planning on getting a lot more done, but it didn't happen because of other circumstances. But one thing that did happen this weekend, yesterday, I did a test of Dinner and a Board Games Hero Quest setup. So I set that up here. I was cleaning the desk and trying to get some stuff clean here in the office. Still need to work on that so that I can set up Hero Quest here. And I was thinking about that this morning, and I was thinking I'm going to revise something else because I'm trying to figure out what the easiest way to do it is I want easy. So I figured all that out, and then also I went and I recorded cooking bacon fried steak in the kitchen, and I edited that, and that material is ready. So I have got I'm basically ready for the new pilot of Dinner and Board Game solo play Hero Quest on Friday. I need to make up the thumbnail. I haven't done that yet, so I can post that to YouTube. I really need to do that today. That way it'll be there so people see it. They'll be able to click the remind me and stuff like that. And then we'll do it. We'll do it a little bit earlier than our evening streams typically are because I don't want it to go forever late. So maybe 6:30 or something like that. Maybe start at 6:30 on Friday Central Time. So that did get done, but other things have to get done as well. Good morning, Carl Make Stuff. And Chase Street is here. James Bacon, one of the channel members. Hello. Carl Make Stuff. Oh, and Gashrin. Good morning. Good to see you here. Welcome to the morning grind. Oh, and Zero the Blade is here as well. Good morning. All right. So what I thought we would do, I was trying to figure out what exactly do we cover here. We've come up with we have been over so much, and there are still some things to look at. But man, we have looked at a lot of them over our time so far on the morning grind. But people were talking about the rules cyclopedia. Oh, here's Nathaniel as well. Good morning, Nathaniel. People were talking about the rules cyclopedia in the Discord server, and I was not familiar with it. But people were talking about how great it was and how it was almost basically all of the rules that you need for basic Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, oh, gee, that sounds great. Because as far as, not having rules all over books and things like that, people were saying that it was really good. Although it's almost, I think, the complete book, not the complete book. Oh, Vision is here as well. Good morning, Vision. Because there were some rules that were like deliberately left out, some in order for it to not be that or something like that. So somebody was saying in the Discord server. But let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's go ahead, do the morning messages, and then we will jump into the rules cyclopedia and see what it's all about. This month, there are several things going on Ravenkeep.net. First, War of Kings is the game of conquest, kingdom building, and strategy that my brother and I developed. It's Catan meets Risk, but there are only 5 boxes of War of Kings remaining, and the game won't be reprinted. Also, Enchantress, the game of wizardly combat, also designed by my brother and me, is on Ravenkeep.net, but there are just 6 copies of that game left, and it will also not be reprinted. So if you'd like either of these games for your table, please pick up one from the website now. If you've been enjoying what I'm doing here on the channel, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking that join button. Your support is so important, and this month, we have a special offer for all of the channel members. If you join, you'll get a $7.99 discount on all of the custom mugs from Ravenkeep.net, Cultist Coffee, Witch's Brew, or Fish Do Not Drink Tea. Once you've joined the channel, just check the members only post on the YouTube channel's community tab for the discount code. Remember, all orders from the website of $99 or more ship free, but I can only ship to the United States. And thank you for being here with me live on the Morning Grind. And if you're watching on replay, welcome to you as well. It's great to have you here. If you're enjoying the Morning Grind, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It will really help the channel grow, and I would be very thankful. We also have the Ravenkeep Discord server you can join if you would like to be a part of the community. All right, that's what you need to know. Let's get to the main topic. All right. Chase Street says, I never had a chance to check out the Cyclopedia, so I'll be curious to see how different, if at all, this is to the basic expert and all the different code right here, boxed set rules. And I have no idea. I'm not really familiar with those anyway. So this is actually going to be my first foray into any of that. As far as I know, I've never looked at any of it. I started with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I've never looked at. I never played anything that was just basic Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm interested in knowing. All right, let's go ahead and take a sip. Everybody got your favorite beverage here? I've got mine. I've got Mountain Dew Zero this morning. All right, so I've got this here, although it would have been a good morning for coffee. I'm just not getting up early enough to do all the morning stuff I want to do. So, all right, poured this. So 2 deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a drink of your beverage. Let's do that together. It's a good way to start off Monday morning. So here we go. There we go. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, I also want an understanding of exactly what this is. Okay, so this is the back cover here. Okay, so the rules cyclopedia. Good morning, Andrew. The rules cyclopedia. Whether you're a master, whether you're a player, the rules cyclopedia. Whether you're a player or a dungeon master, the Dungeons and Dragons Rules Cyclopedia is now the comprehensive source book you need for the original fantasy role-playing game. For ages 12 and up, the Cyclopedia contains the complete game system. Well, this does say complete game system right here. The Cyclopedia contains the complete game system and hundreds of features, including all of the rules from the D&D boxed sets, including, here's maybe our answer, including basic, expert, companion, and masters. So that's what all of that is. BECM. Now, what is I? Chase, I'm not sure what I is, but there we go. So basic, expert, companion, and masters. Guidelines to develop and play characters from levels 1 to level 36. Oh, holy cow. Okay, so we got plenty here. Comprehensive lists of weaponry and equipment. There we go. Expansion rules, including optional skills and talents. An overview of the known world and the Hollow World game settings. I don't know anything about that. The official D&D campaign world. Rules to convert D&D games and characters into AD&D 2nd edition game statistics and back again. Provides all the original monsters from the earlier box sets. Fully compatible with the new Dungeons and Dragons box set, this volume allows players the full scope of fantasy role-playing from the dungeons to the outer planes. Now more than ever, a Dungeons and Dragons game is ready and waiting for you. Well, that's interesting, because this says that it is the complete rule set. Let's see what people are saying over here. Oh, immortal. Chase Street says I is immortal. Okay. James. Good morning, James. James says, we used to borrow this from the public library all the time when it was new. I lined up with the black box set. With the red dragon that came out just after Hero Quest when TSR wanted some of that money. Oh, it lined up. I bet it lined up with the black box set with the red dragon that came out just after Hero Quest when TSR wanted the money. I was actually wondering when this was published. So wait a minute. So this is 1991. So this is 1991. We are exactly going back to say hi. James Bacon says the margin art, so nice. It is. I thought that I got a printout of this book. I thought after hearing people talk about it, I thought, well, gee, that's one that seems like it should be on the shelf. But either I didn't get it, or when I was cleaning the office yesterday, I moved it. I'm not sure what. Level 36 campaign. Oh, Billy. Thanks, Billy. Everybody's saying I is immortal. So yeah, there's a lot of playing in here. Chase Street says, to me, the basic D&D series lost its appeal after the companion box set. The master set added nothing new, really, and playing deities wasn't that interesting to my group back then. All right, let's see here. So what kinds of stuff is in here? I mean, this is a pretty thick book. So our table of contents are things like, okay, introduction, what is role-playing? Character creation coming first. Character classes. So about the classes. Okay, so instantly I'm saying that our classes are cleric, fighter, magic user, thief, dwarf, elf, halfling, druid, optional, and mystic, optional. So there's the difference. I always hear about that, back in the day, elf or dwarf was your class. And of course, that was never a part of AD&D. So I never remember that. Never played with that. Spells and spell casting. Clerical spell list, druidic spell list, magical spell list, druid spells, magical spells. Money and equipment, money, weapons, armor, adventuring gear, land, transportation, siege, equipment. Other character abilities, weapon mastery, general skills. Chapter 6 is movement, time, distance, land travel, water travel, aerial travel. Chapter 7, encounters and evasion. Chapter 8 is combat. We've got initiative, morale, combat maneuvers, missile combat, unarmed combat, underwater combat, siege combat, mass combat. Chapter 9, we got mass combat. We were talking about mass combat with some game not too long ago. I can't remember what they all are. The impact of mass combat on our characters. Experience, non-player characters, strongholds, and dominions. So that's when we're dealing with the authorities, titles, the construction process, stronghold retainers. After the stronghold is built, dominions, dungeon master, procedures, ability checks, aging, alignment, anti-magic effects, climbing, clues we've got here, creating characters, demi-human clan relics. So the haste spell here is getting called out specifically. Listening. This might actually be a really interesting section to look at, how this game is actually intended to be run from the Dungeon Master procedures. That might be interesting. Monsters. So here's Immortals. Well, here's I for Immortals. So that is talking about that here in 15. Immortals and Spheres of Power. Treasure. All kinds of treasure. Chapter 7, campaigning, campaign tone and goals, player character goals, designing the setting. Planes of existence. So here we've got alignment of the arrangement of the planes, interplanetary adventures, interplanar adventures rather. Effects on magic beyond the multiverse. 265. Variant rules, including ability scores and saving throws, demi-human and mystic experience levels, and non-lethal combat. And then we've got appendices, which are the D&D game world, the known world, and the hollow world. Appendix 2 is AD&D game conversion. Why convert? Game differences. That'd be interesting to look at what it says, conversion and game differences. Appendix 3 are record sheets. We may go look at those first. So DM character card, character record sheet, spellbook sheet, character record sheet, hex mapping paper. Appendix 4 is indices, indices to spells. Okay. So that's what's in this. What is this blur? I think we should take a look at things like the character sheet first, because last time we forgot. But this is what, okay, this is at least what it says this game is. This is probably a blast in the past for a lot of people. Like I said, I played AD&D, but I never got into, so I don't know anything about this. Never went back to pick this up. And if you're just a 5th edition player, we're really going back in time here. So it says the D&D Cyclopedia is as accurate a name as you could want for this book. A cyclopedia is an encyclopedia, and this book is an encyclopedia of all major D&D game rules. This book is intended to be a reference volume for those who already play the D&D game. You'll find it's much more convenient to look up a specific rule here than in earlier versions of the game. Just about everything appearing in the box sets is here, but in a more convenient format. For example, all the game spells are in one place, and all the details for creating fighter classes are in one location. It says, however, though this book is aimed at the experienced user, it is possible to learn to play D&D from these pages. The Cyclopedia lacks many of the examples and our patient explanation you'll find in the Dungeons & Dragons box sets, but you can still learn to play from these rules. Okay. Well, let's see. All right, let's see what type of sheets it gives you, particularly the character record sheet. But what it has for the DM is probably interesting as well. This is the DM character card. Put on a 3x5 card for easy reference. Again, here's cards again. And actually, I like index card NPCs. I think they're handy. Character name, class, level, alignment, XP, HP, basic stats, weapon, Thaco, permanent magic items, temporary magic charges. Oh, for player. Oh, and that says player name. So this is actually not for an NPC. So this is like the Dungeon Master's quick reference to a player's character. That makes sense. It's good to have a reference for the players. So this is what a character sheet looks like. Character record sheet. So character's name, player's name, Dungeon Master. Oh, you put the who the Dungeon Master is for that. Class, alignment, level. Your abilities, okay, adjustments for attack, damage, and open doors, languages, saving throws versus spells, missile attack rolls, AC adjustment, hit points per level, reactions, experience, prime requisite, XP adjustment, XP total over here. Here are saving throws. So this is like from AD&D, death ray or poison, magic wands, paralysis or turn to stone, dragon's breath, rod, staff, or spell. I've always thought that was such an eclectic collection of saving throws. Like, I don't know what type of, it doesn't seem very systematic to me, right? It seems like one of those things, and I could be wrong. Maybe there is some type of underlying system which gives you what these saving throws are. But to me, this seems rather eclectic, and it's like assembled kind of ad hoc, maybe. Like, okay, death, ray, or poison saves. Why exactly are death ray and poison together? And why is that different than paralysis or turning to stone? And why is dragon's breath its own saving throw? And why is rod, staff, or spell all together? Why are these? So rod, staff, or spell is together, but that's separate from magic wands. So why is that? So I've never understood that. And then, of course, the saving throws also get used in even more ad hoc kinds of ways when there's something to make some kind of save from, and it'll just say, use save versus death, or use save versus paralysis here, or something like that. So I guess there's some type of rhyme or reason to that, because I remember even when we were jackwissing our dungeon, she was using save versus death for whatever. David Sims says, my father has the first UK printing of the original D&D from back in the mid-70s. It's not the first US one, though, as it includes the first 2 supplements. So, for example, he has the Thief class. Wow. I think you might be able to get, like, probably scans of something like Chainmail or the very first one. That might be something worth doing on the morning grind here. Going back and seeing, like, what exactly was the very first. I'd use that Dungeon Master line to be passive aggressive on the character sheet. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen like campaign, like what campaign is being played in here. So armor class, hit points, damage, movement rates for normal, encounter, running, and other. So here is our AC. So attack rolls. So they have you put out a chart here. So your Thaco, to hit armor class 0, we had a large Thaco discussion when we were looking at the original AD&D, or not the original AD&D box, at the advanced, well, it's the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons intro box. It's one of the later ones. We had all the Thaco discussions. So you're actually supposed, but here, you're supposed to go ahead and calculate all of this based on your Thaco. And then this would be your enemy's AC up here. So then you would just know what it was to roll. I did things like that. I remember I had a sheet like that for a character that was the Cavalier. And he had all kinds of weird bonuses and stuff like that too. So I made up a chart, except for it was like a 2D chart that had attack rolls. And then if some particular modifier applied or something, if some whatever it was. Zero the Blade says it may be based off of basic resistance that the body of a race can have. It may be based off, talking about the different saving throws here, it may be based off basic resistances that the body of a race can have. Maybe. Lamentations of the Flame Princess makes the saving throws better. Magic device and magic rather than wand versus staff. That one is still on the list. James Bacon, Morning Grind, Thaco edition. Right, we were back here. We were back doing it again. Equipment carried, special skills and powers. Oh, treasure. Okay, treasure carried, treasure at home, and treasure elsewhere. I don't think I've seen that before either. Other character notes. Full name, additional names and titles, race, height, weight, hair, eyes, and age. So that's the basic D&D, or the original, or whatever you call it. It's just Dungeons and Dragons character sheet. Spell book sheet. Name of spell, description in brief, source of spell. Adventure record sheet. Real date, principal goal, campaign date, dungeon master. So there's the the real world date, and then we were talking about what the West March style campaigns. Was that yesterday? So keeping track of what's going on in the game world. That kind of interests me. I was thinking about that a little bit. I want to do some role-playing streams as well. Now we're gearing up for the board gaming streams, but maybe that would be a way to do a board game, an RPG stream, instead of trying to, because I was thinking about doing them in a very different way, which was just one shots, which I still think is a good way to do it. But if you were trying to do an actual campaign and you were streaming it, then maybe one way to do that would be that, well, the characters are going to be here, or, somebody will be here or somebody will not be here or whatever, but we're going to keep the world living and you're going to be playing as you show up. I think that could be a way to do a campaign for a stream. If you want like a living world. So who is involved? See, that's a lot of characters right there. Adventure record sheet. That's potentially a lot. So you're he wants you to keep track of the name, class, level, AC, hit points. Well, so I guess maybe this. Oh, no. We did say that 3x5 index card was something that the game master was supposed to have on the characters. So you're writing it down here again, too. Monsters encountered. I don't see the point in writing that down, all that information down. Well, I guess at all, but especially after the fact. Why would I want to record that after the fact? Although, I would keep notes, notes at the table, but never something like that, recording like all the monsters that were killed or something like that. But it seems like there could be some kind of sheet that you fill out and put in a binder that becomes the entire, a chronicle of the entire campaign, rather than all of the players having that scattered. Monsters encountered, treasure found, events of the adventure. Hex paper. Okay, and then the indexes. All right, what do you think is the most interesting part of this to take a look at? I mean, character creation, because we've got the differences here in the classes. So I'm kind of curious about that. We could go over there and hit that. We should probably look up, first of all, how you create the ability scores. And then these classes here, particularly like dwarf and elf as classes. But then I'm also kind of interested in seeing what it says about the dungeon master procedures, and seeing what what it says the dungeon master is supposed to be doing. Zero the Blade says, I think if you have a historian type PC, then it would work for them. Yeah. Okay, let's go. So the steps for creating a character are roll for ability scores, choose a character class, adjust ability scores, roll for hit points, roll for money, buy equipment, determine other numbers and rolls, note adjustments for ability scores, choose character alignment, select name, personality, and background, determine character height and weight, and then earn experience. So this is what I was expecting, like what we were all expecting. Roll 3d6 for each ability. Intelligence, strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. So you roll dice to find each ability score. This is done by rolling the 3 6-sided dice 3 times and adding the results. Or if you have 3 6-sided dice, roll them all together. This is normally referred to in the text as rolling 3d6. Lowest score is 3. If you roll all 6s, you'd get 18, obviously. You should end up with 6 scores, each between 3 and 18. Those are your character's ability scores. Write the scores down as you roll them next to the name of the abilities. High ability scores can help the character in certain things. For instance, high strength allows the character to deal more damage in combat. A high constitution helps the character survive injury. A high charisma helps the character attract friends. Low scores have the exact opposite effect. Each character class requires prowess in one of the abilities. In other words, each class has an ability that is of utmost importance to that class. For example, a fighter's most important ability is strength, and a cleric's is wisdom. These are the prime requisites. Each character class has its own prime requisite, meaning that each class is talented at certain things, such as fighting, healing, sneaking about, and so on. A character's prime requisite score, the higher a character's prime requisite score, the more skill he will have in his class or his job. Primary requisites for each class are listed with the character class. Okay, so for instance, now I was interested since some of our classes are actually our races. Okay, that does say you've probably noticed the names of some demi-human character classes sound more like a race or species name rather than professions. That's because demi-humans are more limited in their options than humans are, so the entire race can be represented by a single character class. You know, that's pretty classic too, the limiting of the demi-human races, because I remember, not every single elf or what dwarf being able to be every single class. And we've since then gotten well away from that, right? 5th edition doesn't have any type of restrictions like that. What about, I can't remember about 3rd. I want to say by the time 3rd was coming around, it was starting to break the race character class problem and making a whole or restrictions and making everything a lot more flexible. Chase says, let's see if the first level cleric still has 0 spells, just making them a wimpy fighter. All right, let's check that out. Sable Phoenix says, the saves came from chainmail. Originally, you had save versus wizard, dragons, spiders, and basilisks. Oh, really? Okay, well, that's interesting. So that could be where it came from. Because I can see, okay, I can see something like that in like the chainmail game. So you have saves versus wizards, dragons, spiders, and basilisks, because that's just all you've got. And then if you're trying to convert saving throws over to something like Dungeons and Dragons, you end up with some weirdness. All of those had instant kill effects, so saving throws were plot armor for what Gygax called superheroes, the PCs. James Bacon says, I don't agree with the demi-humans as a class. Never have. It's bad design. It seems like an obvious thing to not have. Like it seems like an obvious thing to blend, to have your character classes and then your races, and then let those go in a bunch of different directions and to mix those up. But obviously, they must have had the idea, but it just was not something that they thought was important. Now, of course, we don't have that many here as well. So what are our character classes? Our character classes are cleric, fighter, magic user, thief, then dwarf, elf, and halfling, druid, and mystic. I wonder what mystic is. Cleric, fighter, magic user. So cleric, fighter, magic user, thief. That's pretty classic right there. Cleric, fighter, magic user, thief, dwarf, elf, halfling, and then druid. Yeah, 3rd and 3.5 allowed unlimited progression regardless of race and class combination. Yes. Oh, that's another point. Yeah, that's okay. So that's what I thought. I was thinking that it was starting to get broken, or the restrictions broken about that time. But yeah, there were also, even once you can mix. So, I mean, that must have been an AD&D thing where you could, your class and your race were separate, like one of its core characteristics or something like that. But then, yeah, just because you were an elf, I don't remember, whatever, elf, some type of class, didn't mean that you could be a level 20 in that class. You had to stop. Yeah. So 3rd got rid of race limits. Chase Street says, what I never liked about race as class is that it just made dwarves slightly less effective than fighters and halflings. And it just made dwarves slightly less effective than fighters, and halflings much more ineffective thieves. Zero Theory, the first time I saw races and classes separate was Ultima, the PC game, and I thought it was genius. Chase Street says, at least elves were basically fighter, magic user, multi-class. Okay, so that would be some way to do... Hey, if you want the guy who does both, that's an elf. Any new characters can belong to one of the human classes, cleric, fighter, magic user, thief, regardless of his ability scores. So any new character can belong to any of the human classes, cleric, fighter, magic user, or thief, regardless of his ability scores. Hang on, I need something more else to drink. I'm just gonna run in here to the kitchen. Just one moment. I'm out of drink. All right. I'm back. Thank you. Thank you for hanging with me. Chase, yeah, AD&D separated class and race. Every race had only one class option they could advance in unlimited. I don't remember that, but that makes sense. Any other class they might have access to had a level limit. Well, now I'm wondering what those are. Oh, wait a minute. So would that say it under classes over here? Ability scores, PC races, elf, of course, this information isn't all that easy to find. I don't see a table. Well, okay, so for instance, it says over here, this is AD&D. This is AD&D. It says a player character elf can be a cleric, fighter, mage, thief, or a ranger. In addition, an elf can choose to be multi-class for fighter, mage, thief, mage, thief, or mage, thief, mage, thief. The rules governing these combinations are explained later. Oh, well, it doesn't specifically say something about a level limit right there. Except humans, right? They could advance in any class as far as they wanted, right? Gygax's original design made for a very human-centric world. Other races were available, but very limited in power. The only one that elves couldn't go past 5th level as a fighter in AD&D. Wow. Classes and race were separate in BX in first edition. Class and races were separate in basic, expert in first edition. Race and class were separate, but demis had limits. The level caps in first edition were very stringent, Lord Fullmine says. Hello, Lord Fullmine. And also David. David62. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so... yeah, this is interesting, getting into the older mindset. So... it says, the special character classes Druid and Mystic technically belong in the set of human character classes, but they have such stringent requirements and unusual guidelines that they're set aside for you to look at separately. The DM may not want you to use them in his campaign. It's easier for him to make and enforce this decision if they're set aside, which makes me extra curious about them. Okay. See, the magic user, it says, is a character who wields magic. He has little or nothing in the way of fighting ability, and in the early part of his career, he has little in the way of magical power either. But as he gains experience, he becomes a powerful character who can wield powerful magic spells. The magic user's prime requisite is his intelligence. So the dwarf is a sturdy, squat demi-human. He resembles the fighter in many details, but he has many special abilities and special restrictions that set him aside from human fighters. The dwarf's prime requisite is strength. Also, a dwarf character must have a constitution score of 9 or more. If the character you're creating has a constitution of 8 or less, he cannot be a dwarf. That's also so strange to me. That, okay, first you roll your stats. Now, of course, this was like it was in AD&D as well. First you roll your stats, and then you find out what type of character that those stats can be. Instead of, okay, what type of character are you? Now that informing the stats, which that makes more sense to me. But it just has to do with what your perception of balance is. Like, this is, we've mentioned this before, that this is enforcing rarity of the class by what you're going to be rolling. So, like in AD&D, right? The paladin had some pretty stringent requirements on stats. So if you didn't roll those stats, you weren't going to be a paladin, which made it special when you did roll those stats and you're like, hey, I can be a paladin. But what if you don't want to play a paladin? See, that to me is a mismatch between what the player wants and what the player's rolled. If the player finally rolls the paladin score and that guy really wants to play a paladin, but this guy doesn't really care anything about playing a paladin who rolled the stats, you've got this mismatch here. And I'd prefer to let players play the thing they actually want to play and just recognize the PCs may be rare individuals. Hawaiian shirt guy. Welcome, Hawaiian shirt guy. Good to see you. Dwarves are basically fighters with some extra dungeon delving powers. Don't underestimate the power to find secret doors easily or to see in the dark. The dark is such an important part of a lot of these. The original and also original clones, yeah. Chase says, yes, I remember how excited I was when I first rolled stats to allow a paladin. Then I realized I hated being lawful good. Sable Phoenix says, I think Gygax was operating on the idea that you don't get to choose the talents that you're born with. Could be. Yeah, you often rolled entire rafts of stat blocks and chose one. But that's like the I still really want to do the dungeon. What is it? The one where you're making a bunch of level 0 characters and to see which one survives. I still really want to do that. So, okay, the druid is a special type of spellcaster who devotes himself to the needs and preservation of nature. However, you can't start a character off as a druid. Oh, interesting. A druid character must start off as a cleric. In fact, as a cleric of neutral alignment. Alignments are discussed in step 9 and earn a lot of experience up to 9th level as a cleric. Only at that point may he become a druid. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Now, that's why we don't have also like, so it surprises me then that we don't have things like knight. That, oh yeah, you can't just start off as a knight. So I wonder why druid. See, again, this seems like it's kind of, the way it developed, it just has things added on. So druid ended up being something that was added, but you can't start as. And likewise, a mystic is a type of warrior monk. He lives a monastic life, devotes himself to philosophy and the mastery of his physical body. This is not what I thought a mystic was going to be. And trains himself to become a master of unarmed fighting. Mystics are not appropriate to all campaigns, so the DM has the option of refusing to allow mystics in his world. The mystic's prime requisites are strength and dexterity. Also, a mystic character must have scores of 13 or better in both his wisdom and dexterity abilities. So I guess you can start as a mystic. So that's the precursor of the monk now. So that's a very interesting kind of class here. Jonas Devlin. Welcome, Jonas. We had custom rolling methods if you wanted to play a paladin. Basically, started at 16 for charisma and then flip a coin heads. You got 18 tails. Heads, you got 18. Tails, it was 17. Lord Fullmind says shades of the later prestige classes. Kind of, yeah. With it's weird that just one here, right? That druid is the one that's like that. Chase Street says, sounds like the druid is the bard of AD&D, where they had to be a fighter, and then a thief, and then a druid, before finally getting access to bard. Well, I don't remember that. Druid is the bard of AD&D, where they had to be a fighter, then a thief. That's interesting. Lord Fullmind says, you can become a knight, also a paladin, and an avenger, I believe, depending on alignment. Okay. So adjust ability scores. You can trade 2 points from an ability score you don't want to raise your prime. You don't want to raise. Wait. You can trade 2 points from an ability score you don't want to raise your prime prerequisite by 1 point. What does that mean? You can also perform this trade as many times as you want, so long as you do not lower any abilities below. So this does let you swap stuff around. It says, once you've rolled your character abilities and decided on his character class, it's possible to raise his prime requisite by lowering other ability scores. This is sort of like training hard to improve one skill while letting others become neglected. For example, a magic user might spend all his time studying hard, neglecting his exercise. He'd end up with a higher intelligence and lower strength. These are the rules for exchanging ability points. The prime requisite goes up 1 point for each 2 points that another ability score goes down. So that's kind of rough. If a character has 2 prime requisites, both can be raised. Constitution and charisma points cannot be exchanged with others. Dexterity cannot be lowered, but it may be raised for a thief or halfling character. No score may be lowered below 9. If it's already 10 or less, it cannot be lowered. So, for example, an elf has intelligence and strength scores of 12 and a wisdom of 13. His player wants him to be both stronger and smarter. He drops the wisdom score by 2 to 11, so 1 point can be added to strength. Then he drops wisdom again to 9 and adds 1 to intelligence. This results are intelligence and strength scores of 13 and an adjusted wisdom of 9. Well, I've never seen that before either. Good morning, Sarah. Good to see you. Bards were hard to do. I don't remember that. You don't want in order to. Yeah, that's probably okay. So, you can trade 2 points from an ability, especially in retrospect, having read below. You can trade 2 points from any ability score you don't want in order to raise. Yeah, in order to raise your prime requisite by 1 point. I hadn't seen this. So I guess that was Chase says Bard was hidden away in the appendix of the AD&D Player's Handbook. They also needed stats of Strength 15, Wisdom 15. Whoa. Yikes. So that's different from, because this is, so I guess by Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, they must have moved the Bard into just the standard character classes. So, because I don't remember that, because in AD&D here, 2nd edition, Bard is just something that you can play. Let's see. If you want to exchange any ability score points, you must do so now before you go any further in making the character. No such adjustments can be made later. Remember that you do not have to adjust ability scores. This is an option, not a requirement. That's kind of harsh, going down 2 points on something else. in order to raise one thing by 1 point. Now, that 1 point's got to matter, too. This is not like 5th edition where only every other one gives you a bonus or something like that. Every one's got to matter. And we liked the different things that all of your stats actually control, and that they don't all just go up +1, +2, +3, +4. There was variety there. So, steps in character generation. So, oh yes, that's rolling for hit points. Your character's hit points represent the ability to survive injury. The higher his hit point score, the more damage he can sustain before dying. Characters who survive long enough to gain a good deal of experience typically gain more and more hit points. Therefore, an experienced character lasts longer in a fight and other dangerous situations than does an inexperienced character. A character's profession, his character class, dramatically affects the number of hit points he receives. Fighters and dwarves receive a lot of hit points. Magic users and thieves, only a few. Other classes, a medium amount. So, yeah, I was just noticing that. So, cleric is D6. Fighter is D8. So, that's the big one. Magic user and thief. So, thief is also D4. Well, I always think of the wizard with the lowly D4 hit points. But actually here, the thief is also starting with D4 hit points. The dwarf is starting with D8. The elf is D6. The halfling, that's curious. The halfling starts with D6. And the mystic starts with D6. Yeah, once you, commonly dropped express. Yeah, once you, if you said that, I think I would really understand. And here's something I haven't seen in years, referring to PCs with exclusively masculine pronouns. Yeah. I always have the computer read it to me. D4, yeah, that's all. Well, and it's not, yeah, I mean, so it's not even up to D10. Roll for money. So it's 3d6 and multiply by 10 to find characters starting gold. So interestingly, doesn't seem like that's adjusted by class. So that's just what you've got. Everybody's got 3d6 times 10. Buy equipment. And I don't see standard packages, which I'm for that because it just speeds up buying stuff. Don't forget spells. Armor class. Armor class, sometimes abbreviated AC, is the number indicating how tough it is to hit your character with the armor class. Unlike most numbers in the D&D game, the low number is good for a character and high number is bad. Your armor class is a combination of the type of armor you're wearing plus any adjustments due to dexterity. First, find your armor class on the armor table and armor type and armor class table. So no armor, leather armor, scale armor. Hey, it says scale armor and not scale mail. That's good. It does say chain mail, though. Banded armor, and it says plate mail here. Suit armor, and then shield, subtract 1. If using a shield, subtract 1 from the AC number. For example, chain mail alone is AC 5, but with a shield, it's AC 4. So find your dexterity score on the bonuses and penalties for ability score table. Look right here. Okay, bonuses and penalties for ability scores. Well, no. Okay, so, this actually goes back to what I was just saying seems to not be true here. This is bonuses and penalties for ability scores. That looks a lot, not exactly like, but that is actually much more like something like 5th edition. Now, that's 9 through 12 is no adjustment. So 9 through 12, that's a larger chunk of this spread that isn't giving you any type of adjustment. With 13 to 15, actually, this is well, much more brutal than 5th edition. 13 to 15 is +1. So it's going to matter if you're trying to make yourself adjust the dropping scores and stuff like that. 16 to 17 is +2, 18 is +3. But we don't have a table like in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons that we were looking at, which had different things going up on different levels, which we liked and I liked. So I guess that's our bonus and penalties for ability section. So you've got to have at least a 13 dex in order to get an increase in your armor class. Sierra says, in just a year, I go from complete beginner to watching D&D YouTube videos. LOL. Well, welcome. Rogue Thinker. Welcome, Rogue Thinker. The Holy Book of Rules. Great. My favorite rule book. That's why I wanted to look at it, because people were talking about thought it was so great in the Ravenkeep Discord server, which, by the way, I'm going to post a link to the Ravenkeep Discord server. And if you're here, we got 18 people watching, this says. So if you're here, please do like and subscribe. No, I know. This is old rules. I know. These rules are compiled from books starting in the 70s. I know. This is definitely, we are going back and we are reaching into the past here. I'm just trying to track what our the evolution of stuff is. So Chase says, yeah, the attribute score range, I think, was eventually modeled after real-world IQ scores. Back then, they claimed an average IQ ranged from 90 to 120, hence 9 to 12. Oh, so that would have put you in average. So you had to get outside of... So just modeling everything off of that IQ range. Oh, okay. So that would... The same might apply then to strength and constitution and dexterity and stuff. So you really had to get outside of average. According to that philosophy, you'd have to get outside of average in order to start getting bonuses. Hey, Neutromancer. Yeah, it seems like James says his IQ is over 9,000. Yeah, I would try it. Neutromancer says, I like the attribute progression, bonus progression in this version more than later ones. I don't think did it say anything about bonuses for your hit points? Find your character's class on the character, class, and hit die table. Then roll the type of die indicated in order to find your starting hit points. Note that your character's constitution score can affect the number of hit points he will have. So yes, look at the bonuses and penalties for the ability score table and apply the appropriate number to the number of hit points rolled for your character. So this does also apply to hit points. But once again, you got to be at least in a 13 con in order to start getting a bonus. Let's see. Saving throws. Find your character's class and experience level on saving throw table in Chapter 8. Move across the column representing the type of attack your character is sustaining. The number shown on that column is your saving throw. Roll that number or better on a 1d20 to avoid or diminish the effects of the attack. High wisdom and saving throws. If a character has a wisdom score of 13 or more, he receives a bonus to one of his saving throws. If his wisdom is 8 or less, he receives a penalty. Take a look at the bonuses and penalties for the attribute table below. If your wisdom score is higher or low enough for a bonus or penalty, record it on your character sheet beside your wisdom score. This bonus or penalty affects your character's saving throws versus spells. When rolling your saving throw versus spell, you can add the character's wisdom bonus to his saving throw, or must subtract the penalty if he has a penalty instead. Strength. High strength affects how a character hits with melee weapons, that is, handheld weapons. It affects how much damage the character does with melee weapons and its thrown weapons like hurled knives and spears. You know, I was thinking what you're talking about here. Okay, you're right. So this is, I wonder what like kind of standard deviation that is, but it's trying to get you well outside of average. And it's not trying to say, hey, you're a little bit better than basic, so here's a +1, and you're a little bit better, here's a +2, and so forth. Like you really got to fight for those bonuses. But that also probably allows other things in this game. I was thinking like damage with weapons that like on average, then most people are going to be rolling that weapon damage without any type of modifier. Tomocrat loves this book. I can see why. I can see why people were so enthusiastic about it in the Discord server. So let's see. Hi. Okay, so that is it affects how much damage the character does with melee weapons. This is strength. And thrown weapons like hurled knives and spears. It affects how often a character can budge stuck doorways. The character's adjustment for high strength score is applied to any roll he makes to hit someone in melee combat. For instance, if a character has a strength of 17, therefore a +2 adjustment, and rolls a 9 on his d20 to hit someone, he gets to add his strength adjustment to that roll. He actually has achieved the roll of 11. If the character has a strength of 8, he rolls a 9, he has to subtract 1, he gets an 8. A character's adjustment for strength is also applied to damage. Okay, so this is both. So to hit and damage. For instance, if he's got a strength score of 18 for a +3, he hits someone with a sword for 8 damage, he gets an 11. Finally, the character gets a bonus or penalty to his open doors roll. The open doors roll is the character's ability to force stuck doors. So that's another one of those like seemingly ad hoc things. Wait, now how do you open a door? These open door rolls on the open door roll is rolled on a 1d6 with a roll of 5 or 6, meaning success. A character with high strength applies his adjustment to the number he rolls on the die. So an open door roll is a d6, looking for 5s or 6s plus your strength modifier. A natural unmodified 6 always opens the door. We were going to look at like clerics, but we didn't. So we haven't gotten to like the more detail on classes yet. So Rogue Thinker says there are weapon rules later on that give more bonuses for skill. Stat bonuses are pretty universal. So intelligence, that tells you how many languages you know. Intelligence and languages table. Wisdom, we talked about. Dexterity is armor class. It also affects your ability to hit with missile weapons, thrown weapons, and launch and weapons launched through the air. Constitution. Okay, that was hit points. We already went through that. Every time a character gains a level of experience, roll for more hit points. And each time you roll, you adjust the roll according to your Constitution score. Charisma will affect how others, characters, and monsters react to him. It also, he tries to hire retainers, bodyguards, assistants, and so forth. His charisma will determine the numbers he can hire. Oh, so this is just charisma adjustment table. Reaction adjustment, again, 9 through 12 is no adjustment. Maximum number of retainers is 7, and then retainer morale, 4. Maximum number of retainers is 4. Retainer morale is 7. So an alignment right here, when picking alignments, characters should know that chaotics cannot be trusted, even by other chaotics. A chaotic character does not work well with other PCs. So our alignment is law or lawful, chaos or chaotic, and then neutrality or neutral. Didn't we have that in the Shadow Dark? So alignment behavior. A lawful character will fight to protect the group regardless of danger. The character will not run away unless the whole group does so or is otherwise safe. A neutral character will fight to protect the group so long as they're reasonable and safe to do so. If the danger is too great, the character will try to save himself, even at the expense of the rest of the party. A chaotic character might fight the monsters, or he might run away immediately. Chaotics are, as always, unpredictable. The character may not even care for what happens to the rest of the party. Playing in alignment does not mean a character must do stupid things. A character should always act as intelligently as the intelligence score indicates, unless there is a reason to act otherwise, such as a magical curse. Name, personality, and background. Determining height and weight for humans, dwarves, elves, and halflings. Let's see. Under no circumstances, it says in italics, can a character advance more than one level per adventure. All experience beyond one level of advancement can be retained up to 1 point short of a 2-level advance. Any additional experience is lost. Hit die and hit points. After a character reaches 9th experience level, often referred to as name level, the player no longer rolls any additional hit points for the character. So that's actually seems to be one of the issues that would be fighting inflationary hit points. So you can only have 9. Well, like the fighter was D8, so you can only have 9 D8 hit points. So how many does that mean that you can expect to have as a fighter? So like 9 times 4.5 or something. That would be 40.5 hit points. See, I've always been interested in how they're dealing with the inflationary hit point problem, because I'm against inflationary hit points. But it seems like some games have had that under control in ways that other games don't. So I didn't realize that here you can only go up to 9th level and still get hit points. So you're not going to just keep going up. So you could have a lot more, but on average you'd have like 40 hit points as a fighter. That seems pretty reasonable. Stargate Mind says, does anyone in chat know about alignments as languages? I do not. Joe Russell says, yeah, long years ago, there were languages for alignment so that lawfuls could communicate with each other, etc. You get fixed bonuses. Oh, did I not? I needed to read a bit further. So it says you get fixed bonuses at name levels, but still at level 9, the fighter should have like roughly 40 hit points. Yeah, plus whatever their con is, but they've got to be pretty exceptional in con. Like so for instance, if they've got a +1 in con, that would get them another 9 hit points, right? So then you'd be 50. But you'd be a really exceptional character if you've got like an 18 in con. So I guess it's enforcing how by the time you reach 9th level is enforcing that special. So fighters get +2 HP after 9th level max. So max fighter hit points is about 150, I think. William Moore says. So for each level, so this says for each level of experience earned, a given number of hit points instead of hit die will be gained. The number of hit points gained each level after 9th will be shown in the next chapter. It differs from character class to character class. Each player will roll hit dice for his character from 1st level to 9th level, or 8th in the case of a halfling character who can only go up to 8th level. Starting with 10th level, the character will receive a preset number of hit points appropriate for his character class. But that also helps fight the what could possibly be some wild number of, or wildly variable number of hit points. Because constitution adjustments to hit points apply only to the hit die the player rolls. They do not apply to hit points added at higher levels. Dwarves and elves may not progress beyond 12th level. Halflings may only rise to 8th level. Druids may only achieve 30th level, and then only after a special challenge, which is described in the next chapter. While mystics can only reach 16th level. The other 4 human classes, cleric, magic user, and thief, may continue all the way to 36th level. We were talking about reducing the number of character levels. I was a proponent of that. I was like, do we really need more than 10 character levels? Oh, here, like, isn't 20 too much? 20 too much. But here, oh, no, 36. We can go all the way to 36 level. But if you're talking about an immortal box set, I guess some of these are intended to be godlike levels. Once a character reaches his maximum experience level, he does not stop earning experience points. Characters can always earn more experience points. Players should keep a record of all the experience points their characters earn. If your character's prime requisite is high enough, he will get bonus or extra experience points. I remember something about that from AD&D as well. So if you are a cleric and you've got wisdom of 13 to 15, you're going to get a 5% bonus experience points. Let's see. Oh, here's the character classes. I think we should look at this. Has been fun. So there are different changes and things like that. And like I said, learning what it originally was, and then also seeing the evolution of this, things that kind of went away and then things that came back, I think is pretty interesting. So we were going to look at cleric and stuff like that. But perhaps what we do is we just come back tomorrow and start taking a look at some of these character classes. So why don't we do that? Alignment languages are from deep in AD&D. They didn't work like normal languages. Well, now I'm also kind of interested in getting the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition, because the second edition was what I was most familiar with. Oh, after 36. After 36, you advance to Immortals. Nathaniel says, speaking of thieves' cant, I always thought of a similar system for body language. A similar system for body language would be interesting. Hard, perhaps, but interesting. Yeah, after 15, they expect you to start managing domains and adventuring less. The 20 levels match the before and after of the hero's journey, which had 18 parts. I'm sure Gygax read Hero with 1,000 Faces. Oh, that's interesting. Because, yeah, I think AD&D, that was to level 20. I don't ever remember seeing this table that goes all the way up to 36 levels. So Immortal is after that. Wait, so is that Cleric? Oh, look. Well, there's our answer right there. Cleric experience table. Level 1, 0. You have 0 spells. You don't get your first spell until second level. I like that Cleric. I guess that's a Cleric. All right. If you are here, hey, please do hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to drop the Ravenkeep Discord link in here, and then also, so we'll look at this again tomorrow morning. But then also, remember that this Friday I'm going to be solo playing Hero Quest. I'll start, I think, at probably about 6:30 Central. We'll be soloing Hero Quest, and also so for Dinner and a Board Game. So this is a return, finally, a return to my show, Dinner and a Board Game. So we're going to be doing that Friday night. So we'll be doing some board gaming Friday night, and we'll be continuing to grind on this morning. I don't have a table talk lined up for tomorrow. Maybe we can find somebody who would like to have some kind of discussion for a table talk tomorrow. I need to start reaching out to some people. I reached out to some people. I guess it's either feast or famine with getting people on the show. Either all of a sudden there's a major influx and everybody can do it, or you reach out and then, people are not available. So I reached out to some people, but nobody has yet actually given me come back and say, yes, I can do it. So I'm not sure. So please stand by on the table talk. What I'll do, though, I will put out like the notification through Discord, because if you don't see it on YouTube, maybe you'll see the notification on Discord if we have somebody to talk to for an interview. All right. So I will see everybody else. So you could go further than that. See, I want to say that I think I remember other books saying that. So Throne of Bloodstone was for AD&D. It was for characters 18 to 100. Okay, I don't remember that. Yikes. Okay, well, maybe we have to look at that sometime. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Be productive. Be creative. And I will see you in the morning.